Science 10. Ecology and ecosystems. Ecology and ecosystems, examining the interconnectedness of life. Biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the variety of life forms present in an ecosystem, including plants, animals, microorganisms, and their genetic diversity. Understanding biodiversity is essential as it contributes to the health, productivity, and resilience of ecosystems. High levels of biodiversity provide numerous benefits, such as improved ecosystem stability, increased ecosystem productivity, and enhanced ecosystem services like pollination and nutrient cycling. Biodiversity also plays a crucial role in maintaining the balance of ecological processes, such as predator-prey interactions and competition for resources. By studying biodiversity, ecologists gain insights into the complex interactions and dependencies between species and can develop strategies to conserve and manage ecosystems effectively. Food webs. Food webs depict the complex network of feeding relationships among different organisms in an ecosystem. They illustrate who eats whom and how energy flows through the ecosystem. Understanding food webs is crucial for comprehending the interconnections between species and the stability of ecological communities. Each organism occupies a specific trophic level, representing its position in the food chain, and plays a role in regulating populations of other species. Changes in one part of the food web can have cascading effects throughout the ecosystem. By studying food webs, ecologists gain insights into energy transfer, species interactions, and the consequences of disruptions, such as the loss of key predators or the introduction of invasive species. Biomes. Biomes are distinct regions of the Earth characterized by specific climatic conditions, vegetation types, and adaptations of organisms to those conditions. From tropical rainforests to Arctic tundras, each biome represents a unique ecological community shaped by temperature, precipitation, soil characteristics, and other environmental factors. Studying different biomes helps us understand how life adapts and thrives under various conditions. It reveals the diversity of species and ecological processes that exist across the planet and provides insights into the distribution patterns of organisms. By examining the structure and functioning of biomes, ecologists can identify threats to their stability, such as deforestation or climate change, and develop strategies for their conservation and sustainable management. Ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are the benefits that ecosystems provide to humans and other organisms. These services include essential functions such as food production, water purification, air quality regulation, soil fertility, climate regulation, and disease regulation. Ecosystem services are vital for human well-being, supporting agriculture, providing clean drinking water, mitigating climate change, and promoting biodiversity. Understanding ecosystem services helps us recognize the value of nature and the importance of conserving and managing ecosystems sustainably. By quantifying and valuing ecosystem services, policymakers and land managers can make informed decisions that balance human needs with the preservation of natural systems. Population dynamics. Population dynamics is the study of how populations of organisms change in size, density, and distribution over time. By examining factors such as birth rates, death rates, immigration, emigration, and resource availability, ecologists gain insights into the factors that influence population growth or decline. Understanding population dynamics is crucial for predicting species survival, assessing extinction risks, and developing effective conservation strategies. It helps us comprehend the mechanisms underlying population fluctuations, such as predator-prey interactions, competition for resources, and environmental changes. By studying population dynamics, ecologists can contribute to the conservation of threatened species, the management of wildlife populations, and the preservation of biodiversity. Invasive species. Invasive species are non-native organisms that are introduced to new environments, often causing harm to native species and ecosystems. Understanding the impact of invasive species is crucial for managing their spread and mitigating damage to ecosystems. Invasive species can outcompete native species for resources, disrupt ecological processes, alter habitats, and even lead to the extinction of native species. By studying invasive species, ecologists gain insights into the mechanisms of invasion, such as their reproductive strategies, dispersal mechanisms, and interactions with native species. This knowledge helps in developing strategies for early detection, prevention, and control of invasive species, ultimately contributing to the conservation and restoration of ecosystems. Conservation biology. Conservation biology is a discipline that applies ecological principles and scientific knowledge to the conservation of biodiversity and the protection of ecosystems. It aims to prevent biodiversity loss, promote sustainable resource use, and maintain the functioning of ecosystems. Conservation biologists study the distribution and abundance of species, assess threats to biodiversity, and develop strategies for habitat protection, species recovery, and sustainable management. They collaborate with stakeholders, policymakers, and local communities to implement conservation measures and advocate for biodiversity conservation. Conservation biology plays a vital role in preserving endangered species, restoring degraded habitats, and ensuring the long-term sustainability of ecosystems for future generations. Ecological succession. Ecological succession refers to the process by which communities of species in an ecosystem change over time following a disturbance or the establishment of new habitats. It involves the colonization of pioneer species, the replacement of one community by another, and the eventual establishment of a stable climax community. Understanding ecological succession provides insights into the recovery of ecosystems after disturbances, such as fires, floods, or human activities. It helps us understand the mechanisms by which different species compete, interact, and adapt to changing environmental conditions. By studying ecological succession, ecologists can develop strategies for habitat restoration, predict ecosystem responses to environmental change, and guide conservation efforts. Climate change effects. Climate change significantly impacts ecosystems, altering temperature patterns, precipitation regimes, and ecological interactions. These changes affect species distributions, population sizes, phenology, the timing of biological events, and ecological processes. Understanding the effects of climate change on ecosystems is crucial for predicting and mitigating its impacts on biodiversity and ecosystem functioning. It helps us identify vulnerable species and ecosystems, develop adaptation strategies, and inform conservation efforts. By studying the ecological consequences of climate change, ecologists contribute to the development of climate change policies, land management practices, and conservation strategies that promote ecosystem resilience and mitigate further biodiversity loss. Nutrient cycling. Nutrient cycling refers to the movement and transformation of elements like carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and others through ecosystems. Understanding how nutrients cycle through ecosystems is key to studying soil fertility, water quality, atmospheric processes, and the productivity of ecosystems. Nutrient cycling involves various biological, chemical, and physical processes, such as decomposition, nutrient uptake by plants, and the release of nutrients back into the environment. By studying nutrient cycling, ecologists gain insights into the functioning of ecosystems, the factors that regulate nutrient availability, and the impacts of human activities, such as agriculture and pollution, on nutrient cycles. This knowledge is essential for sustainable land management, ecosystem restoration, and the conservation of soil and water resources. Community ecology. Community ecology examines how groups of different species interact and coexist in an ecosystem. It explores the relationships between species, including competition, predation, mutualism, and symbiosis. By studying community ecology, ecologists gain insights into the processes that structure biological communities and influence species diversity and abundance. They investigate the mechanisms that promote species coexistence, such as niche differentiation, resource partitioning, and trophic interactions. Community ecology also helps us understand the consequences of species interactions for ecosystem functioning, such as the regulation of populations, the flow of energy and nutrients, and the resilience of communities to environmental changes. Ecological niche. Every species occupies a specific ecological niche, representing its role and requirements in an ecosystem. The ecological niche encompasses the set of environmental conditions, resources, and interactions that allow a species to survive and reproduce. Understanding ecological niches helps ecologists comprehend the structure and dynamics of biological communities, as well as the factors that influence species distributions. By studying the ecological niche of a species, ecologists gain insights into its interactions with other species, its responses to environmental changes, and its adaptations. This knowledge contributes to our understanding of species coexistence, competition, and the effects of environmental disturbances on populations. Habitat destruction. Habitat destruction is the alteration or elimination of habitats, often caused by human activities such as deforestation, urbanization, and land conversion. Studying the effects of habitat loss is crucial for developing strategies to protect endangered species, conserve biodiversity, and restore damaged ecosystems. Habitat destruction disrupts ecological processes, reduces species diversity, and threatens the survival of numerous plants, animals, and microorganisms. By investigating the impacts of habitat destruction, ecologists can quantify the loss of biodiversity, identify priority areas for conservation, and assess the effectiveness of habitat restoration efforts. This knowledge informs land use planning, conservation policies, and sustainable development practices. Behavioral ecology. Behavioral ecology examines how animal behavior interacts with ecological conditions, shaping species survival, reproduction, and microevolutionary processes. It explores the adaptive significance of behaviors, such as foraging, mating, communication, and parental care, in the context of ecological constraints and opportunities. By studying behavioral ecology, researchers gain insights into the ecological functions of behaviors, the evolution of social systems, and the dynamics of populations and communities. It helps us understand the ecological roles of animals, their interactions with other species, and their responses to environmental changes. Behavioral ecology also contributes to the conservation of endangered species by identifying behaviors critical for their survival and implementing measures to protect and restore their habitats. Ecosystem resilience. Ecosystem resilience refers to the ability of an ecosystem to withstand and recover from disturbances while maintaining its essential functions and structures. Understanding ecosystem resilience is essential for managing the impacts of climate change, habitat loss, and other environmental threats. Resilient ecosystems can absorb and adapt to disturbances, maintain biodiversity, and continue to provide ecosystem services. By studying ecosystem resilience, ecologists gain insights into the factors that promote or hinder resilience, such as species diversity, connectivity, and the presence of keystone species. This knowledge informs conservation strategies, land management practices, and restoration efforts aimed at enhancing the resilience of ecosystems. Marine and freshwater ecosystems. Marine and freshwater ecosystems, including oceans, rivers, lakes, and wetlands, harbor diverse species and play significant roles in global nutrient cycles and climate regulation. Studying these aquatic systems helps us understand the adaptations of organisms to life in water, the interactions between species, and the ecological processes that sustain these ecosystems. Marine and freshwater ecosystems support fisheries, provide habitat for aquatic species, and contribute to the maintenance of water quality and biodiversity. By investigating marine and freshwater ecosystems, ecologists contribute to the conservation of aquatic species, the sustainable management of fisheries, and the protection of water resources. Ecological modeling. Ecological modeling involves using mathematical and computational tools to simulate ecological processes and predict ecological changes. Models can provide insights into complex ecological phenomena, guide conservation strategies, and inform environmental management decisions. Ecological models can simulate population dynamics, species interactions, nutrient cycling, and the responses of ecosystems to climate change. By developing and analyzing ecological models, researchers can investigate different scenarios, assess the potential impacts of human activities on ecosystems, and guide the development of sustainable practices. Ecological modeling contributes to evidence-based decision-making, aids in predicting the consequences of environmental changes, and helps prioritize conservation efforts. Restoration ecology. Restoration ecology is a discipline that focuses on restoring degraded ecosystems to their natural state, promoting biodiversity, and enhancing ecosystem functions. It involves the implementation of interventions to rehabilitate damaged habitats, reintroduce native species, and improve ecological processes. Restoration ecology draws on ecological knowledge and principles to design and implement restoration projects, ranging from reforestation efforts to wetland restoration and urban greening initiatives. By studying restoration ecology, ecologists gain insights into the factors that influence ecosystem recovery, the effectiveness of restoration techniques, and the long-term sustainability of restored ecosystems. This knowledge supports conservation initiatives, landscape planning, and the sustainable management of natural resources. Ecological footprint. The ecological footprint is a measure of human impact on the environment, quantifying the amount of land and resources required to support human activities and absorb waste. Understanding ecological footprints helps us comprehend the sustainability of our lifestyles and evaluate the environmental implications of our choices. It provides insights into the consumption patterns, resource use, and carbon emissions associated with different human populations, regions, and activities. By analyzing ecological footprints, policymakers, businesses, and individuals can identify areas for improvement, promote sustainable practices, and work towards reducing their environmental impact. Symbiosis. Symbiosis refers to the close relationships between different species, where they interact and depend on each other for survival or other benefits. Symbiotic relationships can take various forms, such as mutualism, both species benefit, commensalism, one species benefits, and the other is unaffected, and parasitism, one species benefits at the expense of the other. Studying symbiosis helps us understand the complex ecological interactions that occur in ecosystems. It reveals how species co-evolve, share resources, and engage in specialized partnerships. By investigating symbiotic relationships, ecologists gain insights into the interdependencies between species, the stability of ecological communities, and the potential impacts of disruptions to these relationships. Pollination ecology. Pollination ecology examines the relationships between plants and their pollinators, highlighting the essential role of pollinators in plant reproduction and food production. Pollinators, such as bees, butterflies, birds, and bats, transfer pollen between flowers, enabling fertilization and the production of seeds and fruits. Understanding pollination ecology helps us appreciate the diversity of plant-pollinator interactions, the factors that influence pollinator behavior and abundance, and the consequences of pollinator decline for ecosystems and agriculture. By studying pollination ecology, researchers contribute to the conservation of pollinators, the promotion of sustainable agricultural practices, and the maintenance of food security. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and comment below if you agree, or would like to add your thoughts.